Hi guys, Patrick here with Gold Kilns USA. Yeah, so far it's been an interesting morning. Can't seem to get my remote to work with the camera, so this is going to be a little crude. Anyway, we're sitting here with the KK6, and this is one of my test kilns here. This is my Mapp gas rated Kwik Kiln 6, the KK6. And I'm going to show you some of the advantages of the KK6 over the little Kwik Kiln 2. Little Kwik Kiln 2 is a wonderful little kiln, but crucibles are that big. Doesn't really work very well when you want to use a lot more and different material. So what we're going to do here is, this is some of the silver sludge, and I want to pour a little 1 ounce silver bar into this little mold right here. And in order to do that, I have to take the silver sludge here, which is a black powder at this time, mix it with flux, and then turn it from a silver oxide into a metallic silver. And you can't do that in this little tiny crucible. It's just too small. So we're going to use the AO5, which is this little salamander clay crucible here. A lot bigger than the other one, as you can see. And we'll put our flux and our material into here. And I'm going to put about 32 grams of the silver sludge here, and about 60 grams of the white GPK melting flux in there, into this AO.5 crucible, and we'll melt that, and then we'll pour it into the conical mold, and then we'll recast it into an ingot using the smaller crucible. The KK6 here, you can use both crucibles in this, and this makes this a very versatile kiln. And anyhow, there's your yellow Mapp gas bottles. A lot of guys want to use Mapp gas. It's not necessary, but if they want to use it, that's just fine. The kilns are now Mapp gas rated, which meant that I had to up the refractory to where it'll stand 2600 degrees now. Anyhow, a lot better deal. So hang on just a second here. I'll get set up. We'll measure out our material. We'll light the kiln. Then after it warms up, we'll go through the process. So anyhow, hang on guys. Be right back. Okay guys, I'm back. Here we go. Let's see. I'll turn my little scale on here, and we will take 30 grams of this material right here. And the wind's blowing a little bit today, so it's probably going to blow it all over the place. There we go. 15, 18, 22, 7. Oh, we're getting close. 28. Let's go about 32. 32.5. Okay, so we'll take that and pour that in this little jar. And I might try and get away with a little less flux. I don't know, we'll see here. That stuff's pretty pure. Usually you want to mix stuff about 3 times as much flux as your material, depending upon how dirty it is. But that's pretty clean material. I've worked a lot with it. So let's see here. There's 20. Yeah, let's just go with 30 grams here. See, this is why I say that you can't use a little Kwik Kiln 2 for a lot of these procedures, because you just don't have the room in the crucible. to do what I'm doing right here. So here's a 100% mix, and usually you want to use about a 300%. So we got 32 grams of our silver sludge and 32 grams of our flux. And I like to use jars to mix this stuff up. It just works so much better. And that's about all it takes. And there's our material that we're going to put into our crucible. So let's see, let's get rid of a little bit of this stuff here on the table. Just move that off to the side there. And we'll set our crucible there, and we'll see if we can spoon that material into this old A05 crucible. You don't want to fill your crucible up much over a half to 2/3 full, and that's going to be just about right in here. So there we go. So that's how much material we got in there, and there just isn't any way that you're going to get that much material in the little crucible that goes into the Kwik Kiln 2. So this is the idea, and this is the beauty of the Kwik Kiln 6 and Mapp gas rated refractory now, is that you can actually smelt materials like this, pour it into your conical mold, and then use the little crucible here, remove the midsection, and recast it into ingots like this little mold here. So we're ready to go in that sense. So I'm going to move some of this stuff off the table because plastic stuff just doesn't do very good around that kiln when it gets hot. I'll just set this over here. And we'll go ahead here and light this little puppy up. And the way I light them up is I take the top off, take the midsection out, and I just get one of these propane bottles here. They're supposed to be self-igniters sometimes. Oh yeah. And we'll put that in there. Just want to barely insert it in there to where it seals the little rim. And we'll just hit the other one. And we're off to the races. We'll put the lid on. The middle section, I mean. And then we'll put the lid on. So I'll go ahead and let this warm up and get up to where the kiln is warm. Things happen pretty fast with Mapp gas versus propane. You can do everything I'm doing here with propane, but again, it's like I say, a lot of people like to use Mapp gas. They want to get things really hot, and that's fine. I got no problem with it. The kilns are rated for Mapp gas now, so I'm going to let this warm up, and as soon as it gets warmed up, we'll put our crucible in there, and we'll melt the first step of this. We'll turn our oxide material into a metallic silver. Hang on, I'll be right back. Hi guys, I'm back. It didn't take very long for that to get warm. So what I'll do right now is I'll separate the top and the bottom sections. We'll put our crucible in, and then I'm not going to put the body on and everything I'm going to let it cook for a little bit. That helps to warm your crucible up from room temperature to the inside of the kiln, and it helps to eliminate thermal shock. It's a lot easier on your crucible. So I'll go ahead and pull the lid off, the middle section out, and I'll set the crucible in, and then I'll just leave it there for just a couple of minutes, then put it back together, and we're off to the races. So hang on, I'll walk around here and do it. A one-man band, you know. There's the lid. There's the body. And we'll just do our crucible, and we'll just center our crucible on the pedestal in there. And we'll just leave it there for a minute. And what that does is that allows that crucible to warm up. without going right into that, 2000, 2100, or however many degree environment from room temperature. So we'll just leave it there for a minute, and once it settles down a little, then I'll put the middle section on and the lid, and we'll let it cook until it's fluid. Doesn't take very long, but it's kind of like watching paint dry. It's kind of boring. So I'll leave it in there for a little bit longer, and I'll put it back together, and then we'll get that first section done and pour into that conical shaped mold over there. Before I get ready to pour, I'll put that. Okay guys, I'm back. Put my gloves on here. Didn't take very long for that to get there with that Mapp gas, probably 15 minutes. And so I got my conical mold sitting up there, and it's pretty hot, let me tell you. So I'll pick that mold up, I'll set it over there on our little cast iron thing there to catch any flux in case it spills over the top. Don't think it's going to this time. And then I'll separate the kiln. I'll grab our crucible and we'll pour it. I'll put the kiln back together, and I'll show you a little trick with this. This is a new little little graphite crucible that goes in the mini kiln. The mini kiln is kind of tough on these little crucibles because it's so small on the interior chamber that the flame comes along and it hits the edge of that crucible, and it cuts them up and it erodes them pretty bad and everything. And with the KK6, using this crucible in the KK6, there is none of that. This little crucible right here, which shows a little bit of wear because, graphite, it degrades. It's consumed in the process. It's got about 10 pores on it, and there's a hell of a lot more in there. And we only use the NAC 500 molded graphite, the best graphite you can get. Our crucibles last a long time. Most people use extruded graphite in a lesser grade, and our crucibles will go 10 to 15 pores, 20 pores. Theirs go 3 to 5. So anyhow, just a matter of knowing what you're doing and the quality. And I'll show you a little trick on this here, but anyway, let's get this thing poured. So I'm going to walk over there and grab that mold off of there, separate the kiln, grab the crucible out, and we'll pour. Hang on, here we go. Ooh, like I said, that is warm. Grab the middle section. Grab our crucible here. And we'll pour into the hole. And we'll set our crucible over here. Now I'm not going to stack that kiln back up. I'm just going to put the lid back on because I'm going to use the smaller crucible. So I'll just set that on there. Makes it a little quieter. And there's our pour cooling down. Sometimes those will crack and small. So let's see if I can find something to set over the top of it. That might be alright. Usually you want to set something over the top of those so that they don't spall. But I think we'll be okay for right now. So, the trick I was going to show you. The inside of this crucible here is round, and it's flat all the way around. And so let me get my gloves off here. I don't need my gloves to do this. And there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to file a little pour spout in it. If you get a little pour spout in there like this, I don't know if you can see that, but that pour spout is right there. And that pour spout, instead of it having a real wide stream when it comes out, it'll follow that little pour spout out. So what I do is I just take a little round file and I'll just lay it in there like this, and I'll just file a little groove in there. Doesn't hurt the crucible any. Now I've got a little pour spout, and that just makes it a heck of a lot easier trying to hit that smaller mold, because you're trying to cast a decent looking ingot. And there it is. I don't know if you can see it very well, but it's just right there. That's all we need to do there. So I'm going to set this back over here. Our pour is cooling down. As you can see, it's already shrunk down a little bit. It's still hot. It's still too hot to pour out of there. We can cheat it as much as possible, but you just don't want to cheat it that much, because, you know, everything's hot here. That crucible I took out of there, I mean, right now it looks like it's back to its original color. Man, you don't want to touch it. It'll take the fingerprints right off you. That's one of the things you always got to remember, is that everything is hot. Whether it is or not, if you just kind of go along with that concept that everything's hot, and you don't want to just reach over and touch it, makes life a lot simpler for you. So, let's see here. I think maybe, just maybe, we could tip that over. And you see that? Like I said, remember, everything is hot. There. So there's our cone. And right on the top of that cone, let's see if I can pick this up here. Yeah. Right on the top of that cone is our silver. And that's what we were trying to get, is we turned the silver oxide into metallic silver in a reducing environment. This is a reduction process. There's two environments, an oxidizing environment and a reducing environment. And we were working in the reducing environment. And look at that. Now that's when you know you got things just right. Is because that little piece of silver right there fell right off the top of that without hardly even touching it. And that's how you can tell that your flux is well balanced. In other words, it's just, if you've got too acidic of a flux, it'll stick to that little bead, to that little button, just like concrete. And the fact that that just separated so nice and everything basically lets you know that your melting flux is just in about the right proportion. And so, kind of an oddball little thing to get a hold of. So anyhow, that turned out real good. I could weigh it, but I already know what it's going to weigh because I've worked with this material so much. So that's the first step. You take your material, you do your smelting process, pour it into a conical shape mold. All of your metallic metal goes to the bottom, ends up in the top of there, and all you've got here is residual flux. And if you got everything warm enough and hot enough, there's no beads in there. So anyhow, step one, total success. So I'm going to knock a little bit of that off of there, get this ready to go. We'll charge the other one, and we'll stay lifetime the next time. I won't turn it off because it won't take very long to turn that into an ingot. So hang on, I'll be right back. Okay guys, I'm back. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of our melting flux here. Not much. Just About like that. Half, 3/4 of a teaspoon. Maybe a little more. Maybe about a teaspoon. Plastic. Gotta get rid of the plastic. And then we're gonna fetch our little cone-shaped pyramid here. Not gonna worry about knocking the flux off it. Just not gonna worry about it this time. And we're gonna pick that up and drop it right there in that crucible. Get my other glove on. Everything's hot. Lift the lid up. I like to put that little pour spot in the direction that I'm going to pour. I'm going to drop that right in the kiln. Put our lid on. And this is the mold that I'm going to pour into. Basically, this mold is a 1 ounce silver, 2 ounce gold. I'm going to set that little mold right there for the whole time because I want it really hot. Silver is a bear to pour because silver gets hot real fast, but it also gets cool real fast. So, wiggle the camera around a little bit. There we are. We'll just stay lifetime here because this isn't going to take very long. The little Kwik Kiln 6, especially this Mapp gas rated kiln now, is just, it's everything that a big kiln is. It's just moved down. You've got a crucible that's big enough to do a smelting process if you've got some gold and black sands, or if you've got roasted ore cons, or as we're doing here with the silver con, etc., etc. You can do what you want. I'll grab this crucible, but I'm grabbing it with tongs. And this is the A05 crucible, and this is a little mini crucible. So, you know, I mean, there's like, I just dropped the little one inside. There's just so much more room in there that you can actually do a smelting process. And then, if you're only working with small cons or small amounts of metal, you just pull the middle section out of the kiln and drop the little mini crucible down there on the pedestal, and it put the lid on there, and it's a dual purpose thing. Now, the combustion chamber is so much larger on the inside on the KK6 than it is on the Kwik Kiln 2, that you don't get crucible erosion from the flames of the torches hitting the sides of the crucibles, and they just last a lot longer. Anyhow, move that around, get it on that side for a little bit too. So it's a very versatile little guy. I use it quite a bit. I use the Kwik Kiln 2 a lot too. But I've gotten to where anymore, even if I'm working with a little clean placer gold or some scrap jewelry, I just start to get to where I use this. I don't use Mapp gas very often. You don't have to. But there are some instances where you want to get that little crucible really, really, really hot. And that Mapp gas definitely gets things hotter quicker. It's not that it burns much hotter than propane, but the heat transfer rate with Mapp gas versus regular propane is about 50% more effective with the Mapp gas. In other words, it just transfers heat so much better than the propane does, is that things get hotter quicker. And so, at any rate, I'm looking down there, that's already melted, and we could pour it right now, but I want to go ahead and let it get really, really hot, because silver is, like I said, is a bear to try and pour a decent ingot with. Really, in all reality, I should have my ingot mold sitting there with a torch on top of it if I was really going to pour something really pretty. But this is just a quick and down, dirty little demonstration here. We've been the manufacturer and trademark holder of the Kwik series of kilns since 2013. We used to wholesale to dealers, but at this point I'm not doing that anymore. I'm just simply the manufacturer, trademark holder, and retailer at this point. One of our dealers, who we had a long-standing relationship with, we got into a little riff with him because he was using substandard graphite materials and accessorizing his own kilns and everything, and I stopped selling to him. His answer was to build a knockoff kiln. Obviously doesn't have the knowledge, doesn't have the materials, doesn't use the highest quality materials, and so buyer beware. There's some people out there that are trying to imitate this original Kwik kiln product. Sad state of affairs, but that's what happens sometimes. So anyhow, well, I'll tell you what, things look pretty good in there. I kind of swing this over a little bit. I'm going to move that over a little closer to my little mold stand there. That's just a conical mold turned over the other way. It's a lot easier to pour into things if you elevate your molds rather than try to pour onto a flat surface. So I'm going to move this a little closer, a little shorter distance, get set up for my pour. Move anything over here that can burn, because I'm going to set that lid over there. You got to remember, things coming out of there are hot. Yeah, I think we're looking pretty good right now. That little mold's hot. So let's give it a shot. Here we go. I'll pick this little mold up. I'm going to set it the direction I want to pour into it. Like that. I'll peel the lid off. Grab my little graphite crucible here. And it's like I say, I didn't have enough flux in there. Should have had some more. It solidified as soon as it hit that mold. Should have had a torch on top of it for a real pretty ingot, but we got an ingot poured, and we'll let it cool down a little bit. And I'll show you our crucible again. It's sitting here still glowing. No crucible erosion from the flame cutting the crucible. Little pour spout. Just a nice little unit. That crucible will last quite some time. So, I know that's hot. I know that's way too hot to get a hold of. But let's see what we can get here. Oh. See if I can find something to tap some flux off with. How about a Craftsman 3/4 inch wrench? Get back here. You know, hurrying things like this is not the best policy. Obviously. But I kind of wanted to give you just a little. You let that cool off, that flux comes off so much easier. Anyhow, I'll give you a little something to look at. And here we are. We went from basically a silver oxide that was from the mirror sludge. There, I can see what I'm doing. And we run in a reducing environment. We reduced it down to metallic silver. I recast it into a little ingot, and I can't seem to hold on to it very well. And we went through the whole process using that little KK6 for both ends of it. And you know, the cool thing about this is you can recast these and really make them pretty. And that's just way too hot. It's way too early to clean the flux off. And so if you just let them cool down. But we're trying to save time here and not bore you with a real long video. Anyhow, guys, little Mapp gas rated KK6, just a sweet little unit to use. And it gets plenty warm in there, let me tell you. So, having said all of that, we're starting to retail our products on eBay and on Amazon. A nightmare, but get a lot of traffic. You can contact us at goldkilnsusa.com and come directly to our site. And anyhow, I really like this little kiln. We have the bigger ones. We've got several videos going. And anyway, gonna try and do a little more stuff. Get you some more information. Website's still under construction, but they'll have videos, instructions, smelting tips, just a lot of stuff on there. So, anyhow, guys, appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and I'll get back to you.